Don't know how we got here, but we got love, yeah. Don't know how we got here, but we got love, yeah.
Welcome to Saving Us, where we discuss relationships in marriage, family, and beyond. Relationships are hard work and should be a priority. These discussions are here to help you navigate the waters of insecurity and frustration and hopefully guide you to a place of peaceful fulfillment in your own relationships. Welcome everybody to Saving Us, where today you are going to join in on part 2 of our episode on family and finances. Listen, contact somebody and let them know that our podcast is on the air right now. And if this is their first time listening, tell them to listen to the podcast from last week, right, and then get updated, catch up for this week's podcast so they can learn everything they need to know, at least get started, about their finances and how to make a plan for their finances and their future. Like and subscribe, and go ahead and send us your comments and questions so we can stay in touch with you. Thank you again for watching. Well, we are in part 2 of Family and Finances, and again we have Ron and Ashley Capuyan with us. Ron is Filipino, so I'm trying to say it with the accent. Capuyan, not like Capuyan, like a Hoosier. So they're here as financial coaches, and they are answering our questions about finances and how to plan for retirement and how to get out of debt and change our mind about debt and what it means to us.
Yeah, we learned so
much. Welcome back.
I was going to say, we learned so much last time, that I think people don't think about. One of the big takeaways for me about what you guys were talking about before was, one of them was people who are thinking of getting married or already engaged to just have that communication up front and don't let it surprise you, later on. And so I think that's a big thing. I think that word needs to be spread a lot more, up front.
And there is no shame in debt.
That was the other thing.
Shame is keeping a debt mentality.
That was really good. That was good. That was very eye-opening.
No shame in it. Sorry. All right. So as we continue, we want to answer this question. Should married couples have only one bank account, one joint account, or is it okay to have separate accounts? And maybe have one joint account where you pay your bills or whatever, but each person can also have a separate account.
Or what's best?
So I think that it depends on where you're at, your financial health, right? So where you are in your phase 1 or phase 2 of financial health. So if you're in phase 1 and you're trying to get out of debt, you need to pull your resources together. And I think what we talked about the last time is the lack of unity. Lack of unity. Why did I say unity? Lack of unity within a marriage. That we haven't become one. So you bring in, this is my check. So don't touch my check, right? Like, or this is I made this money, right? Like this is mine. No, this is to be ours, right? So even if you got a dad or a mom, right, who's the one working, and you got a stay-at-home mom or stay-at-home dad, like what, they didn't have no say, and the income being brought in, no, it needs to be pulled together and say this is ours. This is ours together, and stop having this selfish mentality about this is my money, and well, you pay this bill and you pay that bill, you pay the bills here and I'll just do, like, no, we need to be united in marriage, in finances, and make sure that we're pulling our resources together and we're attacking these debts, knocking them out. That way, you can get to the stage in life where if you have an emergency fund, you got your retirement going, you got your kids' college fund, you got your house paid off, then I think there wouldn't be. I'm more, I think, at peace if you are at that stage 2 of financial health where you got all those things in place. That if you want to have small separate accounts that you can easily just transfer a small amount. Not saying like, but you still pull your money into one account. That way you stay united and keep that goal in mind, and even, you don't fall off in your unity, beyond getting out of debt and building wealth. But if you want to have a little fun, you can just have weekly transfers. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. But while you're trying to get out of debt, it's not a good idea because, you need to be yoked together, to be unequally yoked is not a good thing financially, because then one person wants to do this. There's this, you need to be on the same page and have the same plan so that you can it's like a team, right? And if you say you got 2-person rowing on a team, like one person's rowing this way but a person rowing, like you're not going to go anywhere. But if you want to get to your destination, which is to build wealth and get out of debt and set your family up for generational wealth, you need to be rowing in the same direction and be on the same page and be on the same boat instead of y'all two moving around.
So I heard you say there are 2 phases to
Yes.
financial health. So phase 1, can you say the points of
Yeah. So phase 1 of financial health is actually getting out of debt, on your way to building an emergency fund, having a down payment on a home, starting your retirement, kids funds, and ultimately paying off your house. And when you get to that stage of all finishing all those stages, then you're in phase 2, which is, man, you're just living your best life financially with how God has blessed you, and you've been good stewards going through that process, and now you can be more God glorifyingly generous with the blessings you've been given.
Okay, so realistically thinking, how long should it take us to get through stage 1?
Through stage 1, it depends on your intensity, honestly. Yeah, it's like going down the block. You can walk, you can jog, or you can run.
Right.
So it depends on how much you're willing to sacrifice. How badly do you want to get out of debt and no longer be under the chokehold of bills, of all these payments and all these $300 car payments, and all these student loans coming out of account? Like, how badly do you no longer want to be a financial slave to your bank?
I want to speak on the emergency
Yes.
fund just to clarify. So an
Yeah.
emergency fund is 3 to 6 months worth of expenses.
Yes.
That's something that you'll have in addition to your savings, or would that be considered your savings?
That would be just separate from your savings.
from
So
your savings.
savings
Okay.
would be like you're saving, what they call sinking funds, where you put money in knowing that you're saving for a car, right? So you're not going to go out and get a car and borrow money and pay it off month after month. They got ones like 80-month leases and loans. Like,
80
man,
month.
like,
Good grief.
it's bad. So, but if you're willing to save up your money, and then you can go and just pay for a car. And so a lot of people don't understand that, you don't have to get the best car now. Like, you can upgrade later. You can sell what you have and upgrade. So pay what you can afford, and a lot of people don't know how to do that. So that would be separate from your emergency funds for sure.
Okay,
That
so
sinking fund.
we have an emergency fund that's 3 to 6 months of our expenses.
Yeah.
And then are all of our other savings marked, or do we just have an account that's just savings?
I definitely have every money work for you. It needs to have a job.
Okay.
It needs to have a plan.
Okay.
So make sure that every dollar has a purpose.
Gotcha.
So you need to have a plan to make sure that, okay, we are making this amount every 2 weeks, right? We have this pool of $1,000, $2,000, a month or whatever you're making, and then you say, okay, well, this is gonna go to this bill and knock out this debt. This is gonna go here. And make sure everyone is planning. All those extra you put into the next phase of your journey for sure. So you want to make sure everything is accounted for.
Right, okay,
Yeah,
so
yeah.
there is no ambiguous savings. Everything has a purpose.
Yeah,
All of
no,
our savings,
yes,
you know
'cause-
why you're saving and where it's
Exactly.
going.
So your 3 to 6 months emergency is for emergencies only. It's not like, well, I feel like getting a car. That's not an emergency. That's something you need to save for, right?
Right,
This
right.
emergency fund is for, hey man, my furnaces went out. That's gonna be
Right.
10K,
Right.
right? Or man, I just went to the hospital and I was transitioning jobs and I didn't have Cobra, and it's like, man, I got hit. Like,
Yeah.
that's what it's for.
Right.
You lost your job. COVID hits us again. Knock on wood, never happens again.
Right. But yeah.
And that's the problem. Like, people don't think that you need an umbrella. Like, it's gonna rain. Have an umbrella.
You say it's gonna rain.
No,
That's true though, it's true.
it's not like it's not like a pandemic would ever happen, right? Like, yeah,
Right.
Happened.
Yeah.
It really did
You
happen.
can actually lose your job without your fault.
Yeah.
You can actually be furloughed and go, and which is what happened to me in my lab. I had to work like a rotating every other day shift, and some people just furloughed and took the government money. But
Yeah.
like, you never know. Like,
Yeah.
people live their lives as if like an accident won't happen or something in their life won't happen. Like, it's gonna rain. Have an umbrella, and that's what your emergency fund is for. An emergency, not for your. Oh, I feel like let's go on a cruise. Like, no, you need to plan for that. Have a plan and save up for that for sure.
So how do you differentiate between saying, okay, we're going to live like we have a plan, everything has to have a dollar, and not be in fear? Does that make sense?
I think that having a plan takes you out of the fear.
Okay.
Fear comes when you don't have a plan. When you're like, I don't know what's gonna happen. These bills are coming up, and I don't know. That's what I felt when I sat at my kitchen table, like I talked about the last episode. Like, I felt fear.
Right.
I felt dread. I felt all kinds of things. Like, I'm starting to feel it now. Like, sit myself in that moment. Like, man, it was like my world was crashing down financially, and I didn't know what to do. That's when you experience fear. But when you're on a plan and you have a goal in mind, and you know that, okay, if I have this amount, this is my income, this amount of, and I'm knocking out this amount of debt, and we're gonna get to where I'm knocking out this debt, and now we're building a savings, man, you got a plan. You no longer live in fear, you're living on purpose. And you're moving towards that purpose. So, yeah, no, I think having a plan and working towards a plan and being united in your marriage and working, and you got a partner that you're walking alongside of, even if you're single, like, have an accountability partner, which is your parents or your friend or someone you can count on. Have someone be accountable for you. That way, just like, well, I just felt like, someone you need to be accountable to someone. That way they can make sure that you walk. Someone needs to be walking with you, for sure. And I think it eliminates the fear.
It eliminates the fear.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's really good. I like what you said, just to touch on it real quick. When we were first starting out, about, you use this phrase, attack your debt. Because I know part of my life, well, a big part of my life, I never thought of it that way. I mean, it just showed me something how, I know it's not just me, people go through life and they're like, you want to pay off your debt, but you just kind of think, oh, well, when I save up some money one day, or when I get a raise, or, just that mentality of it'll happen at some point. And that's not, like you talked about, you can get down to the end of the block, but do you want to walk? Or do you want to run? I love that phrase, attacking it instead of just letting it come to you.
And that's I think that's good. Well, I don't remember saying that, but thank you for bringing that up, because it's like you have to attack it. That's a spiritual stronghold in your life. You're under bondage by the bank. And even a mental one, thinking that it's okay to be complacent with my money and not be a good steward.
Right.
Like, you need to attack it with ferocity, with vengeance. Like, I'm about to get my money back. I'm about to get my life
serious.
back. I'm about to get it back. So you need to get on it. Like, you need to be on fire to make sure, like, I'm never, like, I don't, like, you need to have your rock bottom moment.
Yeah.
Right.
And if you're waiting on that, you don't, because you don't want to go through that. Like, I had my moment where I'm sitting in the kitchen, like, I would never, ever go there again.
How
never be there again.
far along in your marriage were you when you hit that rock bottom point?
I mean, 2017, so we're about 5 years
6
in.
years in.
Yeah.
And so how much stress is that? I know a lot of times in traditional Christian marriages, we say the husband is the provider, the protector, the priest of the home, right? So how stressful is that if the husband is the top earner in the home, and feel like you have to take care of everybody?
Yeah, I think it's more of a role situation, because there were times where my wife was making more than me.
Okay.
Right? Because of the, the blessings God's given her and the choices I was making career-wise. She was making more. So I think it's just, but as a husband and as a father, I felt a burden.
Yes, agreed.
Okay.
To provide for my family. And I'm not even sure if that's culturally or, from my faith or, American society or that I grew up in. I'm not sure, but I felt that burden.
You felt the burden.
I gotta be a provider. And so when I failed, I felt like a failure.
Okay.
When I wasn't doing a good job, and I felt that moment where I was like, man, I failed my family. I didn't do a good job stewarding our money. I didn't do a good job of having a plan. Well, I wandered in the wilderness, and I'm tired of going around the same mountain. I want to go to the promised land.
Right.
And I don't know. I mean, I'm not a man. I have never felt that pressure like that. I've never. Did you feel that?
I can speak on that. I didn't feel that. I felt it in other areas because, like, I managed the home, like with the kids.
Right.
With meals and things like that. I mean, you help a lot with meals as well, but like different things when my kids got sick, when something with our pet, or things like that. That's when I felt like a little bit of pressure. But when it comes to finances, Ron felt it. I would just say, let's just pray and give it to the Lord.
Right. I know. Yeah.
But when I noticed how it was affecting him, I'm just like, you know what? I need to make sure that I'm on board, and I may not be perfect at it, because Ron is very passionate about it.
Sure.
And I love him, and he's my husband, so I want us to be on the same page. So slowly but surely, I ended up getting just as passionate about it as he is, and now I think we're like 100% like focused. I want to tell everyone about it, because we're finally debt free. So that's all due to the Lord.
Good.
So how long did it take you guys to become debt free? How many years or months?
It was about three and a half.
Okay.
We got through $110,000 worth of debt.
$110,000.
And we just knocked it out, and there's life happened.
Yeah.
Life happened, but we were able to do it.
Well, I want to speak on this. We went to a bookstore and created a vision board.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
And on the vision board, we put a rocket,
Okay.
and we put planets, and the planets were the debt. Right.
Oh, okay.
And every single one, like, we would put a start, we would mark it off, and then on this one side, we put the things that we want to enjoy, like new car, this things that we were gonna save up for a vacation, and to be able to, when we were able to cross off that last one, it was an amazing
Just a
feeling.
relief,
Just
right?
the visual.
Right.
The visual really helped. And our kids got into it. They're like, oh my goodness, we can mark this. Like, they enjoyed the visual. So, I mean, there's always a way. God always provides.
Right.
So.
And I've heard of different families you can do a thermometer where you're coloring in and
Right.
get to the top, or you can have different chains and you're cutting off all the chains in your life, and each debt is a chain. So there's different ways to do it, but I think a vision board definitely helps, and it helped us to see how far along on the journey we were to get into to where we want to be. So that, and a part of that was saying, like, you have to be able to say no to yourself now, so you can say yes to the greater things in life.
That's true.
With peace. Right now, people just say a lot of yes to little things now, or go into debt and slavery for it, but then they're really struggling all their lives.
Right.
So if you don't have a financial plan in place, you're gonna be always blowing your money away, and you're sitting there 70 years old. As no disrespect, but I don't want to be that old
not knowing
and
what we're gonna
working
do.
fast food or a
Right.
Walmart greeter. No disrespect, but like, we need to have a plan to make sure that we're taking care of ourselves and our family, so that God can use us to be a blessing.
Very good.
That's
Very,
good.
very good. So, did you guys reward yourselves when you reached a goal, or were you just like, nope, we're not until we get all the way to the end?
We did small things, like I think we went to dinner. We did a few trips here and there. So yeah, I think I was the one advocating for that. I could say that, because I don't want it to be like all work, no enjoyment, and we have children, so we want them to have a balanced life. So we did. I think it was we made time for that.
Absolutely, and it's important to celebrate the little things. It's a
Absolutely.
long journey. Like, do you think with 3 years,
Right.
it's amazing to see just a 3-year journey. If 3 years can pass by your life, and it's like, man, you don't know where time went. Like, just look at a child's life. From 0 to 3. That's a long time. There's a lot of growth there, and so for that length of time, you need to celebrate the little wins. So when don't go all out and go on a vacation and like where you're going to the Bahamas, but make sure we haven't done that. But go out to dinner, do a little celebration when you knock out of debt. Ultimately, when you get out of debt, we have some plans that we like to do. I mean, we're still trying to finish up our 3 to 6 months of expenses, but I think that it's important. You got to have some motivation to power you to we accomplished this goal, and we're gonna celebrate. Let's go to the next one. And that gives you the momentum to keep going.
Right. Because what will happen, I think, is
You'll just give up.
You'll give up. Yeah. You'll be like, I'm just tired of suffering.
I want
Just
to have
give up.
fun.
Yeah. You say, I want to do something. All right. So we're going to switch gears a little bit. So we're going to talk about insurance versus a retirement account. What's the difference? Should you have life insurance? What's the difference between like a whole life and what's the other one?
Term.
And term insurance, which is there one or the other that's better? What do you think?
So insurance and retirement, it's two separate things. So you need to have both. Okay? So insurance is your defense that prevents catastrophe for your family. Okay, so you need to have life insurance in place. I've heard it say if you love your family, you need to have life insurance.
Right.
So because so it depends on what it's for. So it's to take care of you. So if you're single and no one's counting on your income, you don't need a life insurance, right? Like people will get life insurance on babies. Like you don't need that. You don't need the babies. But life insurance is for when if somehow your life, God forbid your life passes, you have enough to take care of your family. So you need to have enough in coverage to where if you reinvest that amount, it will produce your income. So it's like your family didn't even lose. They lost you physically, but they didn't lose what you were providing financially. So, for example, if you make $100,000 a year and you want to take care of your family, you better have $1 million worth of insurance. So that way you invest it, you're making at least 10%. You're able to provide for your family, and 10% is $100,000 a year. So, right, and that's just basic numbers. So you want to avoid whole life universal insurance because it's way 20x overpriced. You need to go with a term insurance. It's much cheaper and it's for a certain term. But the problem with universal and whole life is they charge you extra. They take that money, reinvest it, and you don't even get the cash savings out of it. You just get the policy amount. So when you die, you don't even get what what you've been putting in all these years, $90, $100 extra every month. You don't even see any of that. You just get the policy amount, right? So it's way cheaper to get term insurance, and you can always add more to it, and definitely, go with that amount. And as far as retirement, you need to make sure you're taking care of first things first. So you don't want to be robbing from your present in hopes of a future. Right. But you don't want to, rob your present and neglect your future either. So there's two dynamics of like, when you're not taking care of retirement because, that's just down the road. And I had issues. I actually commented on someone who posted about, well, you only live once and I'm just going to live my life. It's like, well, what happens when you only live once? That life reaches to 70 and 80, Right. They're never responsible. We'll just figure out. If you live that long, you'll figure it out. Well, no, that doesn't sound like much of a plan. I don't subscribe to that. But retirement, make sure that you take care of things. So you don't want to be in debt, right, and be put into retirement. Because, you're taking care of your future, but you're also struggling now. So I would say stop your retirement and make sure you're taking that extra money and knocking out your debt. Because retirement is like storing up piles of money, right? Like to hopefully you'll be able to take care of when you reach the shore. Right. Meanwhile, you got a bunch of holes in your boat. Right. Don't stop. Take the whatever you got and fix the holes in your boat, which is the debt. That way you can get to your destination faster, and once you fix those holes, you can be able to take care of your future retirement wise for sure.
Okay. So for a term life or a term insurance program, how long is a term? Usually?
You can get 15 to 20 years, and it's 10 to 12x your income. So that's what you want to strive for.
Okay, 10
to 12
yeah,
probably.
Income.
Yeah.
Okay, very good, very good. Okay, when should people start preparing for retirement?
Again, that depends on where you are in life. That definitely, if you're out of debt and you, what some people will do, they will pause their, if they have an emergency fund, they got out of debt, before they start putting it to retirement, some people will also save up money for a down payment for the home. So again, like you want to save at least 20%, so you're avoiding PMI, which is private mortgage insurance, that they're charging you extra in case you default. So in order to avoid that, put some money down in your house. I think that's important as well. That way you're setting yourself up for the future. And make sure you do not get 30-year mortgage. That's, we struggle with that. It's a lower payment, but when I thought about it, like for 8 years, we put all this money in, right? It's like, wasn't much, but I calculated and I was like, man, we only took off $20,000 off this loan. We pay $65,000 in interest. Wow. Like, don't do that. Don't do that. Here's the thing: if you can't afford a 30-year loan, you can't afford that home. Yeah, and you need to have a mortgage that's 25% of your take-home pay as well. That
Yeah.
way you're not house poor.
So do not, your mortgage payment or your rent payment should not be more than 25% of
No.
your monthly income.
No, because that then you're becoming house poor, meaning that you got all your money in your monthly rent and income, and you don't have the room to actually take care of your family and make progress on your other areas of life. So
Okay.
yeah, those are those
25%.
financial principles.
And so you said
Yeah.
15.
15-year, you didn't speak on the 15-year.
Yeah,
mortgage.
yeah. What you talking about? 15-year mortgage?
Yeah.
Yeah. Make sure you get a 15-year mortgage because, like I said, when you got a 30-year,
30,
they really gouge you on the interest. So if you don't want to pay 3x on interest, like over your
Right.
8 years or however long, like 30 years is a long time.
30 years is a long
Yeah.
It's
time.
a long time. So, and if you're on a plan to get out of debt and on a journey that we've been talking about, you can, really make progress. And a lot of people will knock out their mortgage within 7 to 10 years, based on how intense you are with getting out of debt, for sure.
So are there tax benefits to owning, not having a mortgage, paying the house off, or having a mortgage tax-wise? Do you get credit?
Like a
A
tax
credit
credit?
if you have a mortgage that you would lose if you pay the house off? Because I've heard that somewhere. I don't know that much about finances.
Yeah, I'm not sure about that too, but
Okay.
I wouldn't worry about tax credits. You need to worry about making sure that you're setting yourself up for financial health. Like, don't depend on the government and their credits,
Right.
and just worry about you. Make sure you get out of debt and pay off your home, and you're good. Like,
Okay.
don't worry about that.
Right.
So, because I have heard people
No,
say that,
yeah.
no, it's better to you have a mortgage because you get some kind of tax credit or write-off or whatever if you do. So disregard that. No.
Yeah, and again, like if you think about it, if you have a biblical perspective of what a loan is, which is you being a slave to a financial institution, then get out of it. You don't want to be like, well, I'm getting tax credits, so I'm gonna continue to be an indentured servant for the next 30 years. Like, don't do that. Don't do
I'm getting the
that.
credit.
Yeah, I'm getting credits.
You
No,
say
you-
they throw me something once a year. So
yeah, don't.
it's worth staying in bondage for 30.
Yeah.
That doesn't make sense, does it?
Don't do that.
Okay, so just to clarify, I'm a new graduate. I'm 22, 23. And I'm not married, but I want to be married probably by the time I'm 30. And I have my first real job. So I'm making $40,000-$50,000 a year. Should I should now, I don't need to worry about insurance because I don't have a family, I don't have kids, correct? No kind of insurance, not even if I die, like
No,
who's
you're-
gonna pay for my burial, I don't need to worry about any kind of insurance.
I mean, you should have enough in savings. Like if you have an emergency fund, that should cover it.
Okay.
Right. So
So that should be covered in my emergency fund.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and I'm renting right now, but rent is really high. This is
Mm.
just hypothetical. Rent is, I want a 2-bedroom apartment and they're saying $2,000 a month. Man,
Mm.
I probably could get a house, like a 2-bedroom house and pay that much or less. What's best? Should I stay renting or should I look into buying a house because you can pay a little less in mortgage than you would in rent? What are the benefits there?
So if you're a single graduate and you're thinking about renting versus owning a home, definitely home ownership isn't a bad thing, but ultimately it can bite you as well because you're never gonna buy a house that's probably you're probably gonna buy a bachelor pad that's not gonna be suitable for your family when you get married and have kids. So it's ultimately not gonna be your dream home. There's really no thing as a dream home. Like even if you have a dream home, like when your kids move out, you're gonna be downsizing or anything like that. So ultimately. It's not a bad idea because it will still appreciate, in value over time, and you can always sell that and but you have to think about it too. If you don't have a good emergency fund and have your finances taken care of, then home ownership is expensive. You got HOA fees, you got take care of the lawn, and you got
Right.
things breaking down here and
Breaking
there.
down,
So
yes.
don't think that
Maintenance.
just because you're
Insurance.
renting, you're throwing away your money. It actually can cost more a home ownership, especially if you don't get a good inspection and things pop up or they miss something in inspection. Like you're get a lot out of your paycheck, trying to take care of those things. So it's something to definitely consider. But there's nothing wrong with renting either. Renting is just buying you patience. For your time, for you to save for the next phase of life, but I think that's more of a personal decision whether you really want to invest in something that ultimately you'll probably have to sell. And definitely, if you don't stay in a house at least 5 years, I probably wouldn't buy one,
Right.
because it's not going to appreciate and grow enough to where you're able to if 2008 happens and house prices crashes, then and you're trying to move out and you got a family, got married, it's like you're taking kind of chances in that at that point. So yeah, that's something to consider definitely on a personal level.
Okay, so just like we said before, count up the costs, because
Yes.
when you buy a home, there are hidden costs that you definitely are responsible for. Whereas if you're renting, the landlord is going to be responsible for if your water heater breaks down or whatever. The landlord is going to have to take care of that because they own the property. So even though you would pay less in mortgage sometimes than you would in rent, there are also other expenses that come up that you may not have thought about. So really think about it and write up your pros and cons. There is no right, wrong, but know what you're getting into when you make that decision. And you want to stay in your house about 5 years. So that means if you get married and you got to make a choice, somebody's going to have to move. So both of you own a home, somebody's going to have to give it up, or maybe you can rent out one home. You could do that too. But yeah, that's stuff to think about. All right. I think you already answered this. Can people with infants use insurance policies to pay for college later on? Is there an insurance policy that you can start when you have an infant that you can get cash out when they're 18?
Yeah, I actually haven't even heard of this. I had to look this up. But ultimately, those type of insurances, I'm pretty sure it's not tied to term insurance. It's through those whole lives. It's so funny. Like Gerber actually has baby life insurance. Like,
yeah, they do.
Like you shouldn't buy insurance from a baby food company. Like, that's not a good idea. It's like getting car fixed at a McDonald's. Like it's just paying way more. So again, universal whole life, it's 20x more, and you're just paying way more to borrow that money for college, and then you really ultimately got to pay it back, and there's like fees, and I was reading on it, there was a lot of fees and hidden qualifications. Like it's just not a good idea. Just go through the proper steps to make sure that don't try to scheme the system by using insurance to pay. Just start saving for the college. Make sure you're taking care and making sure their education is growing to the point where they can get scholarships, or they're, they can fill out scholarships and be able to qualify for that. It's way more sensible plan than trying to scheme a baby food company life insurance plan to pay off college.
Okay, so there are fees in those programs, and you have to pay money back. Is what you're saying?
Yeah, there's always going to be fees when you borrow from your life insurance premium.
Gotcha.
And then you gotta pay it back. Yeah, they're always gonna get you on that.
Yeah.
Outside of it being way 20x more expensive than term life insurance, which you don't need for a baby.
Okay. This is our final question. How does one know that they're financially prepared for retirement?
For retirement.
How do you know you have enough money to be comfortable at retirement? So retirement is 65 or 67 now. Some people say 70 years old.
on where you work.
Yeah, I guess it depends on where you work. How do you know if it's going to be enough?
Well, retirement is not an age number; it's income number.
Okay.
Right. So you need to have enough, like I was saying before. You need to have enough in amount of retirement that when you retire, if you have those invested in good growth stock mutual funds producing interest of at least like 10% or so, which I know people are like, well, no, they don't make that much. Well, you can. I've seen it. I've done my own research to do it, and I've actually been investing to that point that you will be able to produce your income. That way, if you're making $100,000 a year, you got $1 million in retirement, and it's making 10%. There's your $100,000 a year, right? So you need to have enough to, if you want to sustain your lifestyle, right? Or if you want more, like, I want to, then put in more. Or if you want less, it's like, well, I don't want to live this, life where I'm making 100. I'm okay with 50,000. You need to have, $500,000. So it's not an age number because, it's about how much you have saved up, not what age you are, because you can retire early, if you have bridge funds, what they call bridge accounts, where you're actually outside of your retirement. So you don't want to put it into traditional work retirements, because you have to be at least 59 and a half to take out from your retirement accounts, because otherwise you face penalties and taxes and all that. But if you're just out investing outside of that, and this is only if you're in phase 2 financial health, meaning your house is paid off, you got an emergency fund, you're out of debt, you got college kids, everybody's taken care of, and you just got tons of money, you got your house paid off, then go ahead and do some bridge investing, meaning that you're investing into mutual funds, the same one that you're doing into your retirement, but it's outside. It doesn't have the government protection, meaning that you're not, pre-tax or Roth IRA where it grows post-tax, but you're actually, doing bridge investing. So, and then you have extra to sustain you. Then that's one way to do it. So yeah, it's not an age number. It's an income issue for sure.
An income issue.
Yeah.
So when you say, "Oh, you just put in $1 million," to me that sounds like nobody can do that.
So yeah.
So how do you do
so
that?
when I say you have $1 million, doesn't mean you save up $1 million and put it in there. That
Right.
means that you're investing. So when you have your out of debt, you got an emergency fund, and we suggest that you do 15% of your income into retirement, right? That way, if you that way you're also taking care of other areas of your life. So you're putting 15% into your retirement, and then you're taking your extra money if you're out of debt. Well, you should be. I know if you're investing, you should be out of debt. Then you're taking your extra income and you're knocking out your house, right? And then when you got there, then you can go all in and max out your retirement. Meaning that I think it's $6,000 per individual, 12 per couple for Roth IRAs, and then I think 20. May I raise it to 20,000 for traditional IRAs. So work with a financial investor. Make sure that you get with a good financial investor who has the heart of a teacher, who's going to teach you financial investing and doesn't have a heart of salesman just trying to sell you stuff, just trying to buy this or buy that. Like they need to don't put money into things you don't know. So do your own research to understand. Like you need to be able to know the difference. So do your research. Google's available in this day and age. I don't know if you've heard, but you can use that to understand what is a good proper investing. And if you put in 15% and then you're maxing it out, and say you put in 100,000, then that's gonna grow over time. Yeah, because your 10% is say you haven't you've all your life you had 100,000, right?
Yeah.
Then it grows 10%. That's 110,000 for that year. Then that 110,000 is going to go another 10%. So, for example, here's what I did. So when I switched jobs and careers back in 2015, my lab shut down, and I got severance package for it, and it was about $50K. And based on these financial principles I was understanding, within 5 years, I doubled it. So it was $100K right then and there, right? I didn't put any extra money down. I didn't put anything into it because I was trying to get out of debt. But that money I got from, I believe it was my retirement and my pension. I put that into good gross up mutual funds, and within 5 years it doubled. Right? So let's say there's a rule of 72, meaning in investing, if you put it in good gross up mutual funds, then your investment should grow like 7.2. Like you take your number and divide it by 72. So if you I have to go over that again. But yeah, like for example, I grew mine by within 5 years it doubled. So if another 5 years it grows and the market grows, then I should have that 100,000 will become 200,000, right? So it can definitely, you can get to the point where you have $1 million. Not because you put $1 million in, but because you've invested wisely in good companies, and not companies, but mutual funds, investing in good companies, then you'll be able to grow that to $1 million. Not because you put money in, but because the growth of the
so
of the
about
market.
15% of your income.
Yeah, until you pay off your house, then you max out your retirement.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. And max out means there's a limit to how much you can put in?
Yes, there is. The
Okay.
government sets limits on, especially Roth IRAs. I believe it's 12 per couple, 6 per individual, $6,000
Okay.
of maximum, because the government wants their money, and they
Okay.
want to limit how much you're taking out of that, and also with traditional IRAs or 401ks. I think it's about 20,000.
So those are maximum. So when
Yeah.
people are investing in other things outside of Roth IRA, 401k, then those are the bridge You call it
Yeah, bridge
account?
investing.
Bridge
Bridge
investments.
accounts, yeah.
See, I don't know anything about this.
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
That's why I'm like, oh, what?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All
Yeah.
right. Well, you've given us a lot of information.
Hopefully it's
Thank
been
you
helpful.
both. Thank you. It has been. It has been
Yes.
helpful. You guys, if you have questions, do you want to leave your information? If people have questions and they want to contact you for more information,
Absolutely.
ahead.
You can reach out to us. We are starting a business called Realize Dreams Financial Services. And you can reach out to us as RDFS, the number 4, the letter U, at gmail.com. And right now we're in the process of still setting it up, and we'll definitely stay in contact with us. Let us know. That way when we're up and running, we could definitely sit down with you and provide a tailorized, a tailor-made plan, personal plan to help you learn how to manage your money, get out of debt, take care of your money, take care of your family, and also be God glorifyingly generous, so that He can use you and maximize your income to the fullest to be a blessing to the kingdom.
thank you
right.
so much. So,
Yeah, we
guys,
appreciate you guys.
get in touch with
appreciate
him
you.
and Ashley, Ron and Ashley, so that you can get your finances together and glorify God in your money. Amen? Amen. Thank you for watching Saving Us. And until next time, we'll see you later. Bye.
Don't know how we got here, but we got love, yeah. Don't know how we got here, but we got love, yeah.